Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me, Shanna Trahan, at the Trahan Therapy Center, where we shape minds and change lives. Yesterday was it yesterday? Day before? A couple of days ago was MLK 2022. And I was kind of sitting back thinking about, from a therapeutic standpoint, from a woman of color standpoint, what is it from a mom, grandmother standpoint? What is it that I could say and contribute to this? um, 2022 MLK Day. There's so much, and while I want to share, I just have to be mindful of managing my emotions a little bit because I mean we have hot button topics here, such as the Voting Rights Bill, the Voting Rights Act, and why is that just kind of hanging out there right now? That's huge for me. And it should be huge for anyone who wants to be able to have access and to also be in a situation where gerrymandering does not affect them and their families and their futures. So, America is a melting pot of all sorts of people that come from a lot of different places. And I mean, years ago, life was about live and let live. Speaking to your neighbor, sharing is caring, all of that, and the world has become such a different place. And right now, and I will continue to probably say this for a minute until we kind of get through this pandemic anxiety. This is really a time where we're having to deal with more grandiose levels of anxiety than I've ever seen just as a human being, and with people of all ages, within marriages and single people and friendships, work relationships, friendships, wherever you go, any interaction where you go, where people might usually be kind and warm and welcoming, just the difference in the presentation or the reception of you, as a person, period. This is a time where we really should be looking inward and asking ourselves, hey, am I okay? Should I be talking to someone right now? Am I feeling anxiety? Am I not being my best version of myself? If I'm not being my best version of myself, if I'm thinking weird things, how do I handle that? How do I manage that? Okay. All right. So let's get back. So MLK, I was definitely not born in his era, but well, in his time. But I will say that in school when I was young, I just remember Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, and those were two of the most, I guess, hailed people when I was young and coming up. And I got to meet Jesse Jackson with my mom, I think, down at the Superdome or something like that in New Orleans when I was fairly young. And so for me, that was quite a big deal. And when I think in terms of civil rights, I certainly first think about myself as an individual and how I'm managing myself and my behavior, my actions towards others, because everything around me certainly starts or begins with me. So if I'm being rude and nasty, manipulative, harmful, hurtful, negative, malicious, then that's what I should expect in my space. However, if I'm being decent, kind, calm, patient, loving, respectful, then that's what I expect in my space. So I believe that really kind of thinking in terms of Martin Luther King's dream and seeing all people coming together and working together and having a cooperative relationship despite whatever else is quite a huge dream. That's my interpretation. Okay. So it starts with you. So if you want good things in your world, then you would start with doing good things. You would start with working on being a good person. You would start working from the inside out of yourself. And sometimes one of the things in therapy, I come across a lot is people will say, hey, in my house there was family violence or there was regular drug use of adults and things like this. And for me, this was my normal, but I want to have a different life in my adult space. And I'm like, hey, that's possible. It's possible. It definitely starts with intentionality. Where do you want to see yourself like 10 years from now, or even 5 years? What about 2 years? You know, um, and that kind of goes into, and I don't want to kind of spill off too far to the right or left, but it kind of goes into something I was talking about the other day regarding college, and how I don't believe that college should be free for everyone. But what I do believe is that there are lots of scholarships out there. There are lots of great opportunities to get free college, especially with grants, between grants and scholarships. So there's a lot of organizations that give money. And so all you have to do is meet the criteria. One of the big things when I think about the dream of MLK is certainly not putting ourselves into major student debt. And I promise you right now, I wish that if I had known when I was in college, I would not have taken one penny of a student loan, because I have loans that I do pay and I'm blessed that I can pay them. However, getting my son through school, I'm really blessed that I knew better, and he was not even a straight A student. I mean, he was pretty smart, but he was not even a straight A student. But what I put in his head, I said, son, listen, either A, you're going to use your brain to get in college and get through it without paying a penny, or B, you're going to work part-time and go to school part-time. Because knowing the burden of having a debt, to me, I don't think that MLK would have agreed with, getting into 40, 80, 100 grand of debt to say, oh, I'm going to move in this apartment while I'm going to school, or I'm going to buy this car while I'm going to school. I certainly don't think that was a part of his dream. Freedom. How can you be free when you have $50,000, $100,000 of debt, of burden on your shoulders, and then you're trying to start a new job? And let's just say that job doesn't pay but 40,000 or 50,000, but here you are no longer, you can't be free. So now you're indebted. So now you're not just indebted to the nation or your community, but now you're indebted to this bank or this lender. And all your kids are going to even owe money, your grandkids, everybody's owing on your debt because it's so huge. And nobody ever told you, hey, either A, get the grants, make good grades, or be in certain organizations and sports so that you can apply for scholarships. There's so many scholarships out there for short people, tall people, bald people, single parents, Indian people, Native American people, round people. Gosh, there's so many scholarships out there for anything you could imagine. Left-handed people, there are scholarships out there. Stop taking these student loans. When you think about making a change in your community, making a change for yourself and your family, you can impact the country and the world by no longer taking student loans. That, they have those things where people say, oh, well, let's not shop on this Tuesday, and that's going to have a financial impact and people will listen to our voices. I think the financial impact comes when we stop taking millions in student loans. In the moment, you might feel like, oh, well, I'm getting my car with this loan, or my apartment. It might feel good because you feel like, hey, I'm coming up and I'm doing something. But ultimately, you are bowing down to a master, and that master is the lender. And you will forever be indebted. And I've known people who have not been able to do anything in their adulthood because they are stuck with loans, or they let them go, they went rogue and just didn't pay anything, and then now it's out there on their credit. And and I know I've had relatives that have people calling me all the time. I'm like, look, so and so does not live here, don't call me. It's embarrassing. Like, everybody gets to know your business. So I'm saying to you right now, when MLK discussed his dream, he wanted us to be able to work together and come together. And I believe strongly that he did not want us to be highly indebted for education. Education truly is free. You have the internet, you've got libraries, the internet is global. And so I'm not saying every single thing on an internet is 100% accurate, but there's a lot of information out there that is accurate from reliable sources. And you can learn. Even some of the top universities have free courses online, like Harvard and Yale and Howard University and, Cal State and, lots of places, all NYU, lots of great places across the country. So if you want to know something, be determined enough to study hard enough, be in a club organization, research your scholarships, and pay $0. So, luckily for my son, I think we had to pay the first semester like $2,500, and that's in his bachelor's degree because he had already finished an associate's in high school. And so in for the bachelor's degree, the first semester we paid $2,500, and I think that kids should contribute to their education. And so he had been working, so I was like, okay, you pay 1250, I paid 1250, and we're good. So we're both contributed towards his education. And anything where you put your money and time and effort shows your interest and shows that you love that and that is a value to you. So on MLK 2022, I just want to remind you that you do not have to bow down to any lender, that you can get a free education and it's in your hands. You don't have to wait for somebody else to show you that. Get with your high school advisor as well as your college advisor, the financial aid at the university where you're considering going. And if it's not in your parents' financial situation to send you out of state, hey, stay in state, forego out of state fees, and either pay as you play. In other words, pay work part-time and go to school part-time and pay as you go, and or go ahead and get scholarships so that you and stay away from loans. I'm telling you, stay away from loans. Stay away from loans. If you want to be truly free, he who is free indeed. If you want to be truly free, start off with minding your behavior, your actions, the way you treat others, the love that you show in the world, giving back, helping senior citizens by choosing to be a decent person. Just because you saw something in your life growing up doesn't mean that you have to repeat the cycle. And there are a lot of people in the world that have had terrible, awful, harmful, traumatic upbringings, but who sought out support like counseling or spiritual support, pastoral support, in order to move beyond where they had been, to help to remove some of those roadblocks in their lives. So it's not up to any race of people to remove the barriers for you. It's up to you to begin with yourself. You can do this. Your life can be as lovely as you choose. And that is by you earning your way. Earn your way so that you can play. And that is through honest work. And I mean, if you're a garbage man, if you're a school principal, if you are a librarian, if you are a clerk at the coffee shop, if you are a barista, if you are a floor cleaner, a street sweeper, a hairstylist, a nail groomer, whatever you do, make it something honorable. Because as long as you're doing things that are dishonorable, you're not really free either. So anyway, I hope that this short conversation honors Reverend Martin Luther King and his family, and that someone takes something great from this. Please share it with your friends. This is not, to be taken lightly. The Trahan Therapy Center and Shanna Trahan, we love people. We want to see you guys grow and be great in your own right, not stepping on anybody else's toes, and being your best person. And if you don't know how to get there, give us a call. Many blessings to you. I pray that you have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us here at the Trahan Therapy Center, where we shape minds and change lives. Make it a great day. See you next time. Bye for now.